All right. So yes, to sort of follow up with that, then both of you have recognized that we have a tremendous demand for oil here in the United States. In dealing with that, what would you support? What would you propose as far as developing alternative energy sources as opposed to fossil fuels?
Well, look, alternative energy resources are great. Don't get me wrong; they're lovely. I want us to be producing electricity to whatever extent we can do so efficiently and without subsidization from the federal government, from wind, solar, geothermal, hydroelectric, tidal power. It's all great stuff to the extent it can be done profitably. And I believe in time, the marketplace will be able to provide technology that will give us more energy from those sources. But we can't overlook the fact that you can't run a car off of wind or soybeans. You can't run a car off of hydroelectric power. It just doesn't work. For the foreseeable future, likely for the rest of our lives, the lives of every person in this room, we're going to continue to need liquid fuels. And for that, we're going to need oil, we're going to need natural gas, and we're going to start needing to develop other alternatives within the fossil fuel arena. Most importantly, we need to start tapping oil shale resources. We have in just 3 Rocky Mountain states, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming, a geologic structure known as the Green River Formation. Within that formation, in this narrow corridor comprising just parts of 3 Rocky Mountain states, we have more than 1 trillion barrels of proven recoverable oil reserves. That's more oil than the combined petroleum reserves of the entire Persian Gulf, of Russia, Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, Nigeria combined. Right here in 3 states. If we started tapping that, we could fuel our country for many decades, if not centuries to come, if we simultaneously drilled in Anwar, in Montana, in the Dakotas, elsewhere where we have lots and lots of oil and natural gas on federal land. We could do that. We can do that. We can make it more efficient. We can make it more environmentally sensitive. But we can't live off of this pipe dream that we can somehow run our cars, we can continue to live our lives as we need to live them, while running off of wind power, because cars don't run off of that. We need liquid fuels, and for that, we need fossil fuels.
So my plan, first of all, is to wean us off of energy dependence on foreign sources of energy. How do we do that? Well, it's a multi-pronged approach. Today we have a lot of resources in this country that we're not utilizing. In terms of electricity, we need to look at nuclear power. My belief is we have an all-of-the-above approach. So nuclear power eventually has to be about 30 to 40% of the U.S. demand. There's a lot of opposition to nuclear power. As your senator, I'm going to push for safe, responsible nuclear power. How the Europeans do it is they build their power plants. They have a reprocessing center on site, so they can take the waste and reprocess it and get more energy out of it. Then they drill down deep in the bedrock, 1 to 2 miles, and they store the waste there. That's the safest and the best way to deal with it. So we need to look at expanding our nuclear capability in this country. Number 2, we have to have low-cost coal-fired power plants. Electricity from coal is so cheap and so inexpensive. It's an input that our industries need so that we can remain competitive in this country. So we have to use clean coal technologies. We cannot be afraid of approving new coal-fired power plants to meet the expanding demand that we have in this nation. We also then have to look at a small sliver, maybe 10 to 15% of the demand can come from renewables or alternative sources of energy. That's wind, solar, biofuels, hydro, geothermal, and other sources, because that is an all-of-the-above base. It diversifies the sources, but they have to be cost-effective long-term. Then, as we look at that, we can take coal. There's some gasification technologies where you can take some coal, turn it into liquid fuels. We have to be willing to drill, and drill safely and conservatively, oil and gas here. We should also look at diversifying to compressed natural gas vehicles and electric vehicles where they make economic sense. That way we're getting more products in the marketplace, more competition, more approaches with more people to choose. And that competition will help to drive down costs, and the best technology will rise up and displace some. The core system of using oil and extracting it from here is part of the solution. We have to be less dependent on foreign sources and more dependent on our own sources.